What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew with a brand new episode of the Paul James Show tonight. It is our review episode here, going over all that went on between the Cats and the Eagles this weekend. There's a bit for us to cover this week, but also trying to keep it kind of short and sharp. Hi to all those already active in the chat, Renee and Jackie. Awesome to hear from you already, and hopefully I see many more of you in the chat, in the stream, over the course of the night. Now, tonight's show, we're going to be going through a few different points. We're, of course, going to focus primarily on the Cats and the Eagles of last night. It's been less than 24 hours since the game was completed. Lucas is already in there. I've heard some rumblings about post-game live last night. In fact, it sounds like it was a bit of a cluster, the whole technical thing yesterday between Ben's planned watch-along as well as post-game live last night. I'm sorry to all of those, including Lucas, and I believe the chat, who were really itching for Lucas to get involved. For all of you last night who weren't able to get on, Ben was having, from the sounds of it, a myriad of technical issues that kind of caused the stream to come to a close a little bit early. I caught like the absolute end of it when he was kind of calling it, and it made a lot of sense. Thankfully, I don't have the same, I don't share the same bandwidth as Ben. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything is all right for me. The house is empty outside of the sleeping kids right now. And so that should mean there's no drain or demand on my end as well. So Lucas, sorry that you and presumably a few others also missed out last night. I know Ben wasn't happy about it. I woke up to some angry texts from him, cracking the shits about the internet connection. He was disappointed as well, but hopefully everyone who was there got to have a good time, that everyone in the chat had a great time as well. And of course, we'll be back at it next week. Jackie says, what? You don't live in Ben's backyard? He lives in my backyard. I'm the shoulders of this joint. They're getting sore the amount of time I spent carrying that bloke. Anyway, so we'll go through the match review, the Cats and the Eagles. And of course, especially given last night's post-game live kind of technical hiccup, I'm keen to kind of integrate as many of your thoughts into the show as possible, since a number of you probably didn't get the same opportunities you normally would last night. We'll go around the grounds. We'll look at the rest of the round. We'll jump into some Q&A. We'll talk about the game of the show. Lucas punched the TV, threw the cricket bag across the room. Shoes went flying out the window, not happy, and he didn't get his outlets. So I'm sure we'll pin plenty of Lucas's comments over the course of the show. We'll go into game of the show, which has got a bit of an Aussie flavor tonight, and we'll take a moment to plug the Ross Lyon Enough of the Week video. Please make sure to go and check out that one. Kind of dunked on the bloke for his stupid comments of almost a week ago. I kind of cracked in pretty early. I knew that was going to be my Enough of the Week topic pretty early on in the piece, and so I just went for it, and then had to sit on the video for a good 5 or 6 days, hoping that no one else would top it. Thankfully, in my mind, no one did, and I was pretty happy to hit publish on Enough of the Week this weekend. So go check out that video there. I'll also encourage people, while you've got the opportunity, and if you haven't already, consider checking out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/the Hoops Crew. There's a whole bunch of early access content. There's extended content. There's also some exclusives. And Jackie, who's in the chat doing her best work right now, provided a great topic of conversation, one that I've discussed a bit here on the Paul James Show over the course of the last few weeks and months. It's been about Ollie Henry and his form. Jackie asked the question about how, I guess I've been kind of one of the larger defenders of Ollie Henry so far. And as Jackie said, and actually as I'm reading the comments here on Patreon, I couldn't help but be a bit of a shit stirrer, but it's been a topic that I've kind of come to bat for him a little bit for a while, but I've got some opinions. They are developing, and I'd encourage people to go check out my video on the Patreon there. So it's patreon.com/the Hoops Crew. Costs $5 per month. You can also, if you haven't already considered becoming a patron, a 7-day free trial is there for you. You can check out all the stuff we're doing, and also check out that episode of the Scratching Post right now, recorded from my car only a couple of hours ago. Let's get into things a little bit further, though. We'll talk about some breaking news before we get into the match review. Lions CEO Greg Swan looks like he's going to be taking up the football performance executive role at the AFL. So that is the Laura Kane role that's been divided into two halves. He's going to be very visible in ways that Laura Kane has been lately. Greg Swan's got a great history across many clubs, obviously more recently at the Brisbane Lions, taken to the promised land with a premiership, has done some really good things. And I think he'll fit that role really, really well. I think he's got a really deep knowledge of the game and the ins and outs and the various challenges that it faces. I think Laura's going to be really great I guess with her role being split into two ways. I think that side that she's taking is definitely more suited to her skill set and her knowledge base. And Greg will be much better suited to this football performance executive role. So keen to see how that one plays out. Tom Harley is apparently in the running for a chief operating officer role, which is fantastic for Tom Harley, obviously doing some great things at the Swans, but we all love him here at the Hoops Crew for being a premiership captain at the Cats and the extraordinary things that he did in rebuilding and reshaping this Geelong Football Club into the image that we still see today. A lot of what we see at the Geelong Football Club is largely in part due to, obviously we've spoken about Mark Thompson and Brian Cook and Frank Costa, but Tom Harley as the captain played an enormous part in that. You got to get the players on board, and he did a phenomenal job of that, and we owe a lot to Tom Harley and what he contributed to the Cats. Wish him nothing but the best in a chief operating officer role. Hopefully that all works out for him. Before we proceed any further, in fact, no, we'll jump to Kane Corns, who's taking apparently a mid-season break after some recent controversies. I don't really buy into the idea that he's getting a break to distance himself from this stuff. I think it's more the network that perhaps wants a little less controversy following him for a bit. Or perhaps this was already a scheduled break and they're just going to kind of glitz and glam it up. I'm sure we'll still be seeing Kane plenty on SEN, but please correct me if I'm wrong in that regard. Let's take a moment to appreciate Jack Henry. We do appreciate Jack Henry. I obviously dunked on him a bit last year, and Jackie references the nickname. I dubbed him Foreskin last year when he was kind of struggling a little bit. Again, if you need the origins behind that one, chat, just ask and I'll happily bring it back because it's still funny. I don't stand by the nickname anymore. I firmly believe he's in a great place with his football right now, but the nickname was a classic, and if you need to know the background, I'm still going to go with it because it was good value. Good job, Foreskin. Yeah. But he's in, yeah, I guess, Jed kind of knows that he's been in some Australian form. He's been in a really good place with his football lately. Jackie's right. It's kind of more appropriate for Ollie now. Maybe we have to shift it here. I guess he hasn't failed us or struggled in a key moment necessarily just yet, but he's not been in a great place with his football. Anyway, check out the video on the Patreon there about Ollie Henry. It's a 5 or 6 minute long video. Just me sharing my thoughts on where he's at, how I came to be kind of the defender that I have been, but also the fact that I'm cooling a little bit on that at the moment. So Kane Corns is on a mid-season media break right now, but we'll see how that goes. I'm sure he'll find a way to still tweet some antagonizing things, if nothing else, stir up controversy. He doesn't mind his name being too far away from the news. And our last thing here is a moment that I think all of us Cats fans celebrated on the weekend, if you've seen it. If you've been on Instagram this weekend, if you've been trawling through the internet, if you've been following the great Tom Hawkins, you will have seen an awesome moment, the moment that if it weren't for the fact that the team he was playing for was up by about 20 to 30 points already, you'd be celebrating just like we did in 2012 when he kicked a goal after the siren against the Hawks. I am, of course, talking about this clip here. I don't know that I love the idea of him being in an Adelaide-styled jersey, but let's take a look at this pretty amazing clip of Tom Hawkins with a goal after the siren once again. Big from the legendary. After the final siren. This is, of course, his Carlton draft game. He's the number 1 draft pick in the Carlton draft this year, and kicked 4. And we'll just watch that clip and call it. The 4 not as mobile as ever. Don't like blokes like Tim Mural here with Tom Hawk. Oh, disgusting. Anyway, Tom Hawkins, we love you. You're an absolute rock star, and we miss you every day. All right, let's move on with the show here and get into our match review segment. I am now going to get my screen share up and running for that. Boom. let's get into it. There we go. The Cats. Of course, please, if you haven't already, check out my reaction video. But my thoughts have developed a little bit over the course of the day as I've had more time to stew on it, more time to chew on some data that I've also been reading through as well. The Cats getting the job done, 17 goals, 14, 116, beating the Eagles 11-7-73. And of course, as we've all discussed, it was a bit of a scare. There was about, we kind of dominated the first, but just couldn't put it on the scoreboard. Fine, it happens. But your accuracy tends to come good after a while. And I guess it did technically relative to where it was, but it still wasn't a brilliant kicking day from the Cats in front of the sticks. We dominated the final quarter, but there was a good chunk of the middle of the game there where we let the Eagles, we let them in. Magnus actually says just quickly on the Tom Harley thing, not good for the Swans if Harley leaves. 100%, mate. They're not in a great place right now. So yeah, it'll be a huge loss for the Swans if he departs. Amy also says, love Tommy. Of course, he kicked it to win the game. I'm sure I saw the scores and they won by about 20, 30 points. But I could be wrong. Eagles have been competitive since the Saints game. Can't take any team lightly, and people are arrogant to think any differently. Yeah, I think there's been a little bit of a... I've heard a lot of the commentary come out of the Cats. And of course, there's media speak, there's PR speak, and there's this idea that you don't want to say something publicly that could come back to bite you. I mean, you only got to look at Melbourne Victory and Melbourne City in this past week to see what happens if you put your foot in it. Only have to look at Ben when he tweeted at the GWS social account last year about the number of supporters they'd have at GMHBA. Then they beat us and they clapped back in the most epic of fashions. The Eagles are playing better football than their ladder position would suggest. Now, they are a young, inexperienced team. They're a team that is going to be... They'll ride the wave of momentum and energy and excitement if that comes along. And because of the style of game that Geelong was playing last night, which was very, whiplash. You get that ball and just boom, take off. It was really spectacular to watch when it worked. But when it doesn't, it can kill you the other way. And I think I said it in my reaction video, I think Geelong defensively still needs to do a little bit of work on its structure when we are playing this sort of whiplash, slingshot football, because we do get caught out going the other way. And every team does to a degree, but I think we are woefully exposed in those scenarios. We're not positioning our defensive unit behind the play when someone takes off. And I think that needs a little bit of work because a young, plucky Eagles team exposed it at different points. And Oscar Allen found some form. He also had some pretty good opportunities because he was able to get away in these scenarios. My concern is that absolutely needs a little bit of work, but I'm not going to actually lose my mind over the whole thing. The Eagles are better than what their ladder position would suggest. We just discussed this. But my, concerns around this game is that some players of ours who are usually very efficient weren't. And I'm thinking of the likes of Ollie Dempsey, who was a bit wobbly around the ground at different stages. Brad Close didn't have a great game in that respect. I'm going to see if I can kind of pull up some of the disposal efficiency figures because I was having a bit of a look at this over the course of we'll filter to Cats, we'll filter to Advanced. We'll look at our disposal efficiency. We'll scroll towards the bottom here. Brad Close, 30.8%. 50% to Ollie Dempsey. Now, these are some of our key playmakers when we are taking the ball forward, who had some pretty ordinary days in terms of their disposal efficiency. And that hurts. These are very specifically the players who lace the ball out to our key forwards. We'll talk about Bailey Smith, obviously, super, was it 38 disposal, something like that? But going at 55%, that's not great either. Some of our real key playmakers weren't hitting their targets throughout the game, and that hurts you. It absolutely hurts you. When you play a then highly volatile game style like we did yesterday, where I think they were definitely my feel anyway, is they were definitely experimenting a little bit. We've played slingshot football, we've played fast football, but I don't think we've seen this unrelenting style to this degree so far this year. And actually, sorry, I'm going to scroll back down. We can kind of process some of the other disposal efficiencies because Zach Guthrie at 69.2, nice, is low. like, I think that, and especially in key points of the ground when you are delivering, and I've spoken about launch zone a lot in the last month and a half or so, when you are kind of taking it from that part of the ground and then you butcher it, you give it back, boom, that ball takes up the other end, and you don't have to be the best team in the competition. You can be the lowest ranked team in the competition like the Eagles and still make the opposition look half right. It's the old bad kicking is bad football, and it doesn't just apply to in front of the sticks. So for me, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. I think the way we structure behind the ball in those scenarios is really important, so that if we do get, if we do turn it over, which is happens, the best teams in the competition will turn it over sometimes. But when you do that, you are protecting yourself at least a little bit more than we are, because I feel like we just get ripped apart in these scenarios. I think there's a little bit of work that needs to go into that, but then beyond that, I'm not going to lose much sleep over it. We butchered the ball a little bit. Actually, Kiri, just talks about it here, and he's talking specifically about Brad Close. The decision making's been a bit poor, butchered the ball quite a bit. Yeah, he's been a little bit off the boil. I'm not overly worried about it, but he's not been at his best. And yeah, for Ollie Dempsey to be 50%, that is very, very unlike him as well. There's a few that don't quite fit the bill in that regard. So I'm not going to panic too much about it, but I don't want to see it continue. Certainly not against the Gold Coast next week. With a higher quality, higher caliber team that we play next week, that could get really dangerous for us. But that was the main statistic that I actually looked at over the course of the game. Over the course of today, that I guess helped build upon thoughts that I had in the reaction video. And please, if you haven't already, check out that reaction video. There's a whole bunch of other aspects of the game and some of the team stats and those sort of things that I went through. But yeah, the disposal efficiency is one that I didn't necessarily hone in on at the time. And I'm glad I've looked at it since, because for me, that's, especially for who those people are, that's where my problem kind of resides, I suppose. Was Bailey carrying an injury late in the game? No, he just got tagged very well. I've forgotten the young bloke's name now that was playing on him. I'm going to quickly filter the Eagles here. I'd imagine if I search for tackles, I might find him, because he was chasing his tail the whole time. Was it? Oh, I can't think of the name of the young bloke. There was one though that was chasing Bailey Smith around. For some reason, I'm feeling like Harry Edwards or Brady Hoff. I feel like one of those guys were chasing Bailey Smith around from about the midpoint of the second quarter. He still accumulated the ball. He still did a pretty good job. Yeah, Jackie says Hoff. Yeah, I'm feeling like it was Hoff as well. And did a pretty damn good job of it. So what it did do is allow Max Holmes to get off a little bit. And that's what I think what we're looking for in this regard. Just, when one gets pinned down, the other lifts. And that's exactly what we want from the Dash brothers. So let's see how we go. Kiri says he had a cramp in the fourth quarter, but was able to finish the game. Okay, so maybe there we go. And he has a cramp we hadn't had before. I mean, that's what happens when you get 25 disposals in about 25 minutes of football. You start to tighten up a little bit. And of course, yeah, you'd probably want to take it easy at that point, with the stakes being quite high with a game against the Gold Coast next week. All right, let's go through some other figures here. So, of course, as we've alluded to already, the Cats getting the job done to the tune of 43 points. The Cats now 5th on the ladder. The Eagles remain 18th. 43,000 people attended the game at Optus Stadium. And I know there's been a lot of commentary, of course, about the timing for us Victorians, for those of us here in Victoria, or kind of anywhere else, I guess, around the country, really, that it was quite late for a Sunday night game. But for WA, who's in the state who's enjoying WA Day today, I hope you had a great WA Day. I don't know much about WA Day, but I hope you had a great WA Day. But of course, it makes sense. Like, you can afford to have an extra night game on the fixture when you've got a public holiday the next day. It gets more people in the door. Roaming says it's a low crowd. Considering the last, and I read out the stat during the preview episode, the last few games that Geelong have played over there, it's been 29,000. So this was actually a nice boost for games between these two teams. And I think the public holiday had a bit to do with that. So I'm okay with it. Amy says it's a horrible time slot. Of course, yeah, bad for all of us. But if the AFL wants to be the national game that it claims it is, then you tailor things a little bit more to the audience and speak to the people who are looking to attend the game. And I think they did that in this scenario. Not ideal for the rest of us, but I can deal. It's a one-off. Ben says 7 wins from 9 games. We're flying. Check out again that predictions video that I made about the rest of the AFL season. I'm predicting 2 losses for the rest of the year. And that's, presumably that's maybe me being a bit conservative as well. So I've got us losing one of either Brisbane and Gold Coast coming up, and then potentially the Giants when we have to go interstate to go play them later in the year. Otherwise, I've got us winning everything. We don't play some tough games at all. So Ben also asked, when are we getting Tuesday morning football? Hopefully never. Amy makes an even better point, though. Should have made it a derby for WA Day, or what do I call it? The Western Smash in the past. I think that's the more logical decision, of course, because there's certainly one team that's going to be put out, one audience for sure that's going to be put out, but I can deal. But anyway. All right. Ted Closey, the sub again, and did a good job with the limited time he spent on the field, but I would have loved to have seen more of him. Reece Stanley was absolutely exceptional before that, especially in the final term. He really, I think they actually tactically subbed him because they needed to put out the fire that he was generating. He was white hot in that last quarter, doing an amazing job. Ted Closey, fantastic for the time he spent on the ground, really buried in over the contest. Just want to see him get more game time, though. It's just a shame, like that him, Jai Clark, when they're getting their opportunities, that they're getting the sub jacket because I think they can offer a lot more than they are. They're just not getting the game time. Amy actually thought that Mitch Duncan would be the sub. Glad he didn't because he was really good. He played a fantastic game. 301. Game 301 was a really good one for Mitch Duncan. Ben also pulls some stats from old mate Swamp here online. Geelong has never lost to a team ranked 18th on the ladder. We have, on the other hand, lost to a team. So I'm thinking 2021 here against the Crows, a team that finished last the year before. We've then gone to lose to them in the opening game of the season after playing in a grand final right before that. That's a less positive one. Where are we? Just looking at the comments here. Roaming says Geelong have that many good young players. They need an AFL second team. At this point, it's shaping up that way. I do like your thinking, but wouldn't the other supporters get up in arms about that? As Gold Coast are wearing their pink jumper on Saturday, should we wear the blue striped jersey we wore in the preseason game against Hawthorn? I don't remember really what it looked like. I might have to... Geelong, Hawthorn, preseason 2025. Let me have a look at some images of that. Oh yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't mind that. I don't mind that line of thinking, actually. But no. I mean, it does. It looks really good. But my gut says no. We'll see how all that shapes up anyway. All right. Let's keep moving on. Some other Swamp stats. Jezza is the only player to kick 5+ goals in 7 states. Scott Pendlebury is yet to play in 7 states. Jezza is also the first player since 2023 to kick a bag of 5+ goals in 3 consecutive games. And Jezza has kicked a goal in his last 28 games, and he's now extended his lead in the Coleman to 5. Jamie Elliott with 5 also this weekend sits on 33. Jeremy Cameron on 38. Tom Atkins has extended his lead in terms of the AFL tackles total. He's on 119, while Jack Graham of the Eagles didn't deliver in the same numbers. He's on 89. The coaches' votes, Bailey Smith has now taken the lead in the coaches' votes as well. He's on 59, 4 votes ahead of the next best, which I think, if I remember, was Dawson from Adelaide, but correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Sorry. Sorry, Jackie, 7 states or territories. But blame Ben for that one. That's the way he typed into my doc tonight. The coaches' votes for the night. Now, we've, of course, just referenced Bailey Smith now sitting outright first. I just said Bailey Smith. It's been a while since I've dropped that one. Bailey Smith is sitting outright on top. Baslow incoming, says Liv. I'm a big fan of this line of thinking. Is it possible? Is it at all possible here that we have a premiership? Now, that'd be nice. If we get the premiership alone, that'd be awesome. But is it possible that we win the premiership, that Bailey Smith wins the Brownlow, and Jeremy Cameron wins the Coleman, and even that Sully wins the Rising Star? Woo. Like 2007, we came real close. The only thing we were missing, of course, was the Coleman that year. We won the Brownlow with Jimmy Bartell. Joel Selwood won the Rising Star. We won the premiership. We just didn't quite complete it with the Coleman. Well, this year, we've got serious contenders in all four of those. Jackie says it's a bit greedy, and it is. But, like, it's feasible. Oh, yeah. And Max Holmes, goal of the year as well. It's worth considering. Though I'd say the Nate Caddy one, the Nate Caddy goal on the weekend, puts up some pretty fierce competition. Danger's going to ruin Jez's chances, yeah. Danger coming back this week is going to be a really fascinating curveball, because let's not lose sight of the fact that Jez has kicked 20 goals in the 2.5 games that Paddy Dangerfield has been missing. He has absolutely exploded since then. And it'll be really interesting to see what Ollie Henry is not going to be ruining the chances for Jez. That's a fairly reasonable point. But again, everyone, check out my Ollie Henry video I spoke about before. Ollie Henry is on the Patreon right now, thanks to Jackie asking the question. Yeah, Danger coming back is going to be a really interesting curveball, but we'll talk more about that in the preview episode. So the coaches' votes, Brian Myers with the 9 votes between the coaches. Certainly, I think very close to, if not the best game he's played all year. Love seeing Brian up and about. Bailey Smith with 8, Max Holmes with 7, Liam Baker from the Eagles with 3, Jeremy Cameron with 2, and Ruben Ginbey with 1. And I guess my big takeaway from this, when I look at the final 2, so Cameron with 2 and Ginbey with 1, is that recency bias is one hell of a thing. Jeremy Cameron dominated for 1 quarter, but was absolutely towed up for the 3 quarters beforehand. And I'm a bit disappointed that Ginbey didn't get more than Cameron in this regard. I know, like, 5 goals is a great output, but I would have rather see Ginbey get acknowledged properly for his efforts. That was a really good effort. Our next 4 weeks, we play the Gold Coast at GMHBA, the Bombers at the MCG, Brisbane at GMHBA, and then we have the bye. A very tough game, that one. And my hope is that we bank at least 2 out of those 3. I would hate to give away a game to both the Gold Coast and Brisbane at home. I'd love, ideally, obviously, for us to win all 3 of these games. I'm not at all concerned about the Bombers. But Brisbane and Gold Coast, they're obviously 2 very fierce opponents right now. Both have to come to our home turf, which gives us a massive edge, but we'll see how it all plays out. They're going to be tough matches. Hopefully we can bank some wins. More on the Gold Coast game later this week. It's time to go around the grounds a bit now as I bring up, there we go. Boom, it's back. As I bring up the round 12 results, Brisbane getting it done against the Bombers early, but getting one hell of a scare. They blew them out of the water early on. We were watching this live during the preview episode of the Paul James Show. They were smoking him early, and then the Bombers came storming back throughout the third quarter in particular and nearly pinched it. Brisbane just kicking away at the end there to seal the 18-point win. We've then got the Hawthorn Football Club getting pantsed by the Pies. Don't love seeing Collingwood win, but I certainly love seeing the Hawks lose. And I'm feeling mighty vindicated. I was getting a bit wobbly for a while, but even I lost sight of the forest from the trees, whatever. Yeah. Last year, the Hawks, everyone spoke about their 10-2 run and how they were going in white hot form. And I was one of those that were out there saying, but who have they beaten? Who have they beaten? They took on some decent opponents, in Geelong being one of them, and whoever the other team was. We smacked them by 10 goals. They got exposed by good opponents. And we're seeing it happen again this year. They haven't beaten a genuine top 8 team at the moment. Now, they beat the Giants, but the Giants are, struggling a little bit at the moment. They nearly cocked it up against the Tigers this weekend. And also, we'll send our regards to Callum Ward, who unfortunately it's been now confirmed he's done an ACL, and I am worried that might be career over for Callum Ward, which would be really, really unfortunate. But yeah, as Amy said, everyone forgets that we smashed them late last year. They were exposed massively then. I feel like my prediction of the Hawks finishing 8 to 10 is coming back into the picture now, as they start running into tough opponents. Roaming nails it. They are a good mid-side. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, the Dockers finding some form, beating the Suns at home by 11 points. That was a tight one. It got a bit like the Suns came storming back in near the end, nearly pinched it. The Dockers, with a bit of class, snuck over the line. It was good to see Nat Fyfe get back out there as well, and he was really important with that big body in that final quarter as the sub. We just spoke about the Giants and the Tigers. The Tigers controlled it, had it in their grasp, and then the Giants just wheeled it over the line. And this is where Callum Ward comes into it. Really inspirational speech from him, 3/4 time from all reports. It's really unfortunate, but it had some sort of power and helped them get the win. The Crows smashing the Swans. The Swans are in a world of hurt. Tommy Harley wants out now. No one else wants to be there. Chad Warner's regretting signing on with the Swans and should have left. All sorts of problems are starting to emerge at the Swans. And we'll just see. We'll see how it works out. We've got, 7 goals, 21. Perfect timing. The D's going down by 28 points. Shot themselves in the foot in their game against the Saints. Could have and should have won it. They were the better team on the day and just could not get the ball between the big sticks, blowing that game completely. And the Cats, we've spoken about that. 43 points after a massive last quarter, pulling away from the Eagles to get the win. The Buys, Carlton, North, Port Adelaide, and the Western Bulldogs. Rising star this weekend, Ed Allen from Collingwood has received that award. The ladder, as I quickly flick over to that right now, we'll see, as I referenced before, our beloved Cats are sitting 5th on the ladder. The Suns, we've got the opportunity, obviously, to leapfrog them this weekend with a game at home. The Crows continuing to do a great job, but they, a bit like the Hawks, haven't necessarily really obliterated a serious team yet. The Lions and the Pies with a little bit of breathing room at the top. The Hawks sliding. The Giants, pretty iffy. Freo are getting there. The Dogs, obviously, now 1 game behind due to not playing this weekend. But they could and should probably jump to as high as 5th or 6th this weekend. Well, sorry, no, 6th this weekend, depending on what happens between some of these other teams. And as Jackie nails, it's the old 8-point game this weekend. Yeah, we can also steal some percentage if we get the win as well. So, and put a little bit of space between ourselves and that chasing pack. And the bottom half of the ladder, we can almost start forgetting some of these teams. The Bombers, I would say they are done. I know they're 6 and 5. They are done. St Kilda, done. Melbourne, done. Carlton, done. Sydney, done. Port Adelaide, Richmond, North Melbourne, West Coast, didn't even get going. They're done. We're down to, I would genuinely say, we're down to 9 teams that could make the 8. And it'll be really interesting to see how that one plays out. And it's very early to go down that path, but honestly, I'm not buying into the hype for Essendon with their wins that they'd had. Ben likes to pump up their tires. They're shit. So don't waste any time getting around them. Don't support them. Don't back them. Don't tip them. Don't put money on them. Ben says they're a top 4 chance. They're shit, Ben. Stop wasting your time. All right. We'll keep pushing on. So beyond the ladder here, we can then also talk about the VFL. Someone I saw reference the VFL before. It's kind of disappeared. Let me see if I can find it. Aaron nails it. The twos aren't going well. Yeah, they're not at the moment. Please make sure, though, to go check out the twos. So Jake from the Chaps posted a video about the twos this past week where he was talking about Cam Guthrie and Jack Martin and how they're going. And, of course, I can see the chat talking a lot about those 2 individuals tonight as well. Certainly some questions to start getting asked about both of them in terms of their futures and whether they're in the team, out of the team, retiring, whatever. Please go check out the twos. Jake's been doing a phenomenal job with that. And there was a lot of love for that episode when it went live on the free feed, the public YouTube feed this week. But of course, it is one of our Patreon products typically. So go check it out there. Patrick Richko, Ben continues to dub his man. 21 disposals and 2 goals is continuing his exceptionally good form. Jai Clark, 23 disposals and 5 tackles. George Stevens, 26 disposals and 7 tackles. Jack Martin, 22 disposals and 6 marks. Cam Guthrie with the 16 disposals. And I say all this and I paint some really nice numbers. And then the Cats lost by 26 points to Williamstown. The slide is on. We started off really well and then it's just nosediving pretty badly at the moment. So yeah. What happened to Ollie Wiltshire? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really... Millsy says, I back Paul. Bombers are shit. Lucas has a crack at Ben. Take every shot you can, please. If the stream can handle it. Poke some fun. Shit stir him as much as you possibly can. Ben Harris says we need Mitch Hardy. Ben, if you make more of those comments, I don't have to deal with the Valors at the moment, but if I have to start copping it from you, I'll sin bin you for a while, mate. There's some good looking numbers there, but yeah, obviously 26 points. We're not necessarily lighting it up in the VFL at the moment. It's quite unfortunate. All right. We're going to move on to the Q&A segment of the show in a moment, but first we'll take a word from our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Forest, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. That I thought I had a little bit more time. Drop those flower emojis. Good thing I wasn't, I don't know, doing a line or something. Sorry, Scars. There's like nothing left. Shit. Share a drink, Coke with. Cuz. Next time I'll put a line around the side and we'll go real nose beer style. All right. Before we get into Q&A properly, let's take a moment again. I've gone through the Patreon already, but please consider checking out our Patreon. That is patreon.com/thehoopscrew. There's early access content. There's extended content. There's exclusives there. Lots for people to consume. Thank you very much to Judd being our latest paid patron of the Hoops Crew. We're at 39. If you want to see those Ninja Turtles pajamas, my mate Michelangelo or Raphael or whatever his name is, you want Ninja Turtles all over my body, sign up for my OnlyFans for that. No, if you want to get the Ninja Turtles pajamas, 50 concurrent patrons is what we're looking for. Thank you very much to Judd for contributing to that. I really appreciate it. Few people doing lines in post-game live last night, so it's all good. I haven't checked out the stream yet other than the last few seconds, so we'll see how we go. Dr. Pepper or Cherry Coke? Neither. They're both... Dr. Pepper is shit in a can. Cherry Coke's not much better. Love normal Coke. Give me vanilla Coke. Get that diet shit away from me. If you're going to drink Coke, you may as well do it properly. But yeah, check out our Patreon. I will also say, just while I've got the opportunity, I'll go through some of the other formalities for the show. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, tell your friends and family, share the good word of the Hoops Crew out there, get more people engaging in these awesome conversations in our live streams and in the comment section of all our other published videos as well. I will also take a moment to thank all of you. I'm hoping, based on the numbers, I'm hoping every single one of you watching right now has already checked out the video. But the videos on both Sam Walsh and I'm going to, I'm so scared that I'm going to butcher the name of Rowan Marshall. Just stalled long enough for the name to click. Rowan Marshall and Sam Walsh, thank you all for checking out those videos. They have done enormous numbers. I'm stunned by how popular they've been, how many people have watched them. It's been really awesome to see. Thank you all for kind of, I guess, checking those videos out, as well as all the stuff we're doing. Like I mentioned before, Jake's public feed version of the twos was really well received by people. The reaction videos continue to do well from any given game. The chaps videos are doing great. People check out post-game live en masse. There was lots of you checking out post-game live before the technical issues hit last night. So many good things that you're all contributing to. Thank you all for that support. Comment on this video if you're not already. There's plenty of you in the chat right now. Drop those comments in there. Ninja Turtles emojis, flower emojis, pizzas for Shannon Pizza Neil, all sorts of stuff. Thank you all for that. And the rest of the stuff we'll plug later on. But again, thank you all for that continued support of the Hoops Crew. Ben also shouts out 37 more subscribers to reach the magical 2,000 number on our YouTube channel. Lots of people have piled through in the last week. No idea why. But thank you to all of you who've been subscribed already and continue to subscribe or find people to subscribe. It's awesome. We love you. It's so good. Thank you very much. Jackie says Americans have weird taste buds. It's true. The Todd? No, it's not Todd Marshall. No, stop it. Don't. Rowan Marshall. Surely create a Nasiah or Bont trade video. Yeah, because no. I'm going to do it. Like, if the club is somehow connected to the player, I'll do it. Anything else? Just taking the piss? No. I'll be better than that. Marshall's 30. Is that a concern or still okay? I think it's still only a short-term deal, like a short-term thing for Geelong. So I'm not too concerned about that. Lucas says, Gold Coast pink gather round jersey this week. It's a message that we need 2 weeks of gather round. Missy Higgins, who can stay in this hotel room playing Fortnite? That was a lot of words, Lucas. Most of them, I don't understand. The Nuff of the Week was the flop of the week for the vids this week. Numbers-wise, yes. But I hope people appreciated it. Romy's going to make 37 more YouTube accounts. No, let's do it legit, please. It's no good for algorithms anyway. We don't get more people checking it out if the numbers are fraudulent in the first place. So, Nuff of the Week, JK Rowling. What's she done this time? Who's she upset this time? I'll wait for your thoughts there. Anyway, let's get into some Q&A now. Please throw all of your various thoughts at me. Any burning AFL topics, Geelong-related topics that you want to discuss, let's do it. But let's, of course, begin. We spoke about Mitch Duncan earlier. How about that nutmeg of Harley Reid straight between the legs? Future cat Harley Reid, I might add. But and you could sense it a little bit too. There was a lot of friendly banter with Harley Reid. You could feel, you felt like during the game, some of the Cats players, Bailey Smith in particular, they were just trying to be especially friendly with him. It's a shame that we weren't playing this game in Victoria, because honestly, I could see the crowd. Lufia. You could see the Geelong crowd doing what they did to Danger at the end of 2015 and just applauding everything he does. He played a good game, as Mark says. Do we think, I guess looking to you here, the chat, do we think that the Eagles WA Day jersey looked good? I was a bit stumped about the black and yellow, but of course there's some sort of significance there with the WA Day. I think it looked pretty solid, but it would have been nice to see him in their kind of royal blue and yellow. Like it's a really nice jumper there, one. Mitch Duncan appreciation message, 8 score involvements. He's an absolute ripper. Amy says, Cara was going on about Geelong's fines on 3AW. Still didn't listen, but saw the Instagram post. Of course she is. She'll flog a dead horse. When Reid just shrugged O'Connor over his shoulder, was like, yeah, look, he's a beast, that bloke. Oh, there's the Vellas. Harley Reid and Baz Lenker together looks just right, like Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah. I assume Mark's rubbish is towards the WA jersey. Even Stevie went to Reid. Caroline Wilson, enough of the week on the agenda setters was just defending the umpires the whole show. Aaron didn't mind it. Their colours from the state of origin. She's an absolute twat. Okay. Mitch Robinson has been very good. Sorry, Mitch Robinson. Mitch Duncan has been very good this season, to be fair. Better than that forward called Scratch, more like piss. You've been like, this is all your ammo that you had loaded up and ready to go for post-game live last night. You didn't get to use it. Hey, Lucas. Amy says, spending about how other clubs have been suspicious of Geelong for years. All right. Next question that Ben's prompted for us to kind of something about how other clubs have been suspicious. Of course, you get curious when there's another team that's having all this success and not going through the same peaks and troughs that you are. That's right, Amy. No big deal. Of course, like if you're a professional organization of any sort and you're looking around and you're seeing a traditional cycle that an AFL team goes through, or whatever your industry is, where there are certain patterns that the industry abides by, and all of a sudden another entity, another business, another football team seems to be bucking that trend. You're of course going to ask questions. You're of course going to be curious and suspicious, and you'll want to see some sort of evidence and proof that shows that there's nothing dodgy going on, or you want to look at that and try and work out how do we emulate that. And what I'm seeing right now from what Hawthorn is doing, as much as I hate giving them credit, what I'm seeing Hawthorn do right now in terms of the way they're chasing players, the way they've been drafting, the way they've been cycling their list, they're not doing it nearly as well. As we can see, they're going to finish 10th or thereabouts, as far as I'm concerned. But they're looking at the Geelong model and trying to replicate it. So I'm okay with all of this. And they're just jealous. You don't look good in green, guys. Save that for Tasmania and their new jumper. Did Melbourne stuff up selling home games in the Northern Territory? Is Ben's next question. For me, the answer is no. They just didn't kick well. It happens. I'm not too worried about that. His next one, should Collingwood be considered the premiership favourite? It shouldn't be this foregone thing that people are suspecting it is. I can't buy into this idea that Collingwood just wins. Now I'm going to take a look. I'm going to flick back to the ladder. I'm going to look at the premiership odds at the moment. Sports bet odds. Right now, apparently, Collingwood is a $4 favourite to win. Brisbane at $6.50. Geelong at $7. I mean, look, the Bulldogs at $7.50. Are there any others here? No one else inside of $10. Adelaide is next best at $11. I just don't think this is. I don't think this is some obvious foregone thing that people are talking about. It's kind of ridiculous that people just think the Pies are going to win. Like we were obviously successful in 2022, but we had to endure the same risks, the same risk taking that Collingwood is now, where they've got older bodies, and if something goes wrong, it can all fall apart very quickly, as their bodies all fall apart and decompose, because they're a bunch of old bastards. That's the joke. So I don't believe that they just win. And Brendan says, have Collingwood have peaked early. It's also quite possible. So we'll see how it goes. Let him focus. Let him have it for now. That's fine. No big deal. Lucas asks, we've gone gaming here. How has Assassin's Creed Shadows been received, replicated to Ghost of Tsushima? Keep in mind, Ghost of Tsushima has ultimately lifted so much from Assassin's Creed, and then Assassin's Creed's just been set in Japan with this latest one, and so now there's a very one-to-one sort of comparison in a lot of ways. But let's not forget Assassin's was doing it before Ghost popped up. So Liv asks, apart from Brisbane, what genuinely good teams have Collingwood beaten? That's a good question. I'm going to take a bit of a look, actually, because I couldn't tell you the answer in earnest yet. Filter, team, Collingwood. Boom. Let's get some screen sharing going here. This is the Collingwood results this year. Obviously, they got smacked by the Giants in opening round, but then responded really well. They beat the Dogs, but the Dogs weren't playing the sort of football they are right now. Nothing to see here with the Blues, nothing here with the Swans. They beat the Lions, but they caught the Lions napping. Bombers, they lost to us. They barely beat Freo. They barely beat the Crows. They barely, in the end, despite winning by 45 points, barely beat the Roos, very similar to us and the Eagles, actually. They barely beat, they comfortably beat the Hawks, but the Hawks are second rate. They haven't, you're right. Like the ones that you can kind of suggest serious opponents of all of this, the Giants, and they lost. The Dogs, and they barely won. The Lions, but the Lions had an awful day. The Cats, and they lost. Freo, maybe. The Crows, and they won, but there's some sort of weird voodoo magic shit going on there now. And then, nothing else to see. Like their test. When do they play some tough opponents? Look at this fixture. Bottom 12 teams again. Bottom 10 teams again. There we go. Gold Coast. Freo. Like, where are the tough matches here? Brisbane. Crows. Like, anyone. Like, they've got a bloody easy fixture. So there's something to this that, they're positioning on the ladder could be a little bit inflated, I would say. All right, where are we? Brisbane was 13th this time last year, 100%. It's way too early to call it. But what I would say is there's some teams I'm pretty happy to rule out. I'm happy to rule out Carlton and Sydney at this point, who would be the ones that could potentially do a Brisbane from last year, I think. Brendan, have you gotten over Mitch Hardy yet? Says to Jeff. I've got a TOGF. Togaf. You got to clarify the pronunciation, man. This is one that continues to stump me. Sully's being good, but needs to be better under pressure with his decision-making, but that'll get there. He's a young bloke. Dogs should have won against the Pies. They should have. That match versus us, Collingwood did get some bad calls go against them. Nope, don't you dare say that. Get those words out of your mouth. Our performance was pathetic. We got lucky that West Coast can't play 4 quarters. Would have been smashed by Brisbane and Collingwood yesterday. Premiership teams don't do that, just like last year. But then you can say that about every single one of these other teams that are in the top 8 right now. Lucas, that would be my... Traditionally, you're 100% right. Traditional football, going back to... it's not even that long ago, really. The football of... I'll play it safe and say 10 years ago. Football of 10 years ago, if you found yourself in this situation where you're being exposed by the bottom place team, serious question marks, even if you won like the Cats did, serious question marks would have to come up. But I don't think we're in that day and age anymore. The AFL has won its war with the equalisation thing. Now, the West Coast Eagles are bottom of the ladder and will probably remain that way, and they've been at the bottom for ages, but the enormous gap between first and last is not as enormous as it was in, say, the 90s, for example, where you were just obliterating teams week in, week out. They were copying 100-plus point losses all the time. We're not in that era anymore. And so sometimes, and we see this in all sorts of world sport, the NBA is another awesome example. You see those bottom-ranked teams scare the shit out of, if not sometimes beat the top teams, and you don't throw those top teams out of contention straight away. And every single one of these top teams in the ladder has had that horror game or that near miss against a really low-rung team. Collingwood have had it. We just spoke about that. Adelaide have still yet to really prove themselves and have had some scares against some lower-rung teams. Brisbane have done it. Gold Coast have now done it. They lost to Richmond. We've done it. We lost to the Saints. We had a scare this weekend. Hawthorn are obviously no good. The Giants, Freo, like every single one of these teams have done it. We're in a different day and age for this game now where I still think you're right. Our performance wasn't great, but I'm not going I don't equate anything here. And I mean, obviously, just like you say, just like last year, this is a team that was, a kick or two away from being in the grand final and probably would have won it. And we would have won it had we made it. So I can't totally subscribe to that, Luke, because I understand where you're coming from. But I can't go with you. Sorry, mate. Roaming's taking his nan to his first VFL game in 20 years, to her first game in 20 years. And she said she wouldn't know any of the new players. I said, Shannon Neal and Ollie Henry because they'll be dropped. Kerry says, I don't care who wins the grand final this year. All I want to see is Collingwood losing it. That's a pretty damn good point. Collingwood was outside the 8 last year, so have a softer draw. Mitch Hardy is the greatest Geelong mid-season draft pick in history. It's a good point because we've had no one else that's done anything. Lucas, to be fair, we always play shaky against shaky sides every now and then. We do. Not true. Even in 2022, we only just beat the Eagles over there. Thank you, Jackie. Liv says, Geelong went into this game thinking they were just going to cruise through and get an easy win. Just needed a bit of a wake-up call in my eyes. No, see, I don't buy into that either. And again, I don't know. Sorry, Liv, I don't know how much of the show you've been here for, so you may have missed my kind of commentary on the game. We played just this slingshot football, and we played it pretty much at all costs. And when you turn it over, you're going to get cut up, and we turn the ball over in some really bad spots to turn the ball over. And so even the worst teams in the competition, when they've got a whole open field ahead of them and players of their own colours flooding back, you're going to get on the end of it a lot. So Lucas says, sadly, we're not in the 90s in some respects, but also in the 90s, we lost 4 grand finals, 4, too many grand finals. So I think I'll take this modern era of football. I don't want to see those drubbings week in, week out. I would rather the drama and theatrics of a tight game on any given week. And occasionally there's a team getting pounded, but yeah, I'm not worried. There we go. You should see the Eagles stats in the last couple of weeks. They're in the top 8 for most of the important stats. Like, this is not a walkover team. Ollie played good on Sunday. Which Ollie are you talking about? Henry? Because even I am not crazy about his performance this weekend. But everyone, check out the video. It's on the Patreon now. It's the latest episode of the Scratching Post there for all patrons. $5 and up. 10-day break for the Cats, and we let the West Coast Eagles actually play football last night. Again, but because of how we played, I think there was some hint of experimentation going on. Do you think because Connor O'Sullivan and SDK are similar players and there is room for both when Colo comes back? Yes, I do. But who comes out, though, is still the big question. Mark says, would you be able to say the same about the teams Geelong have run over in the last quarter, Lucas? They don't seem to be able to play 4 quarters either. Yeah, I think it's a competition-wide thing. Lawson Humphries was a mid-season draft. He's done a lot. No, he wasn't. We picked him up in the national draft. Sorry, roaming. Yeah, he was a national draft player. Cameron's still hot and cold. Yes, he got 5, but there was Parker vibes. Jimby had him cooked for 3 quarters. Agreed. Discussed that one a little bit earlier on. I don't think we're giving the Eagles enough credit. Thank you, Jackie. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Liv, not going by interviews I've heard, they were expecting a tough game. No game is easy in the AFL these days. Thank you, Amy. Lucas just cannot give them credit. Okay. Where are we? Oh, nearly near the bottom of the drama and close games sell tickets. The AFL loves it. I love it too. It's really interesting. It sells tickets. It gets people watching on TV. That's what they want. They're a business at the end of the day. And they've done all they can to close the gap, and the gap makes things really interesting. Of course, there's going to be a cellar dweller, but they are not as far off the pace as what we've been used to for decades. It's a different ball game now. Where are we? Ted Closey could become the first AFL player to 500 games, only gets 15 minutes each week. If that. Shadu says Dempsey got a rocket up 3/4 time because he was pretty ordinary before then. I honestly don't think he did a hell of a lot after that too, but I follow what you mean. Liv says, I was at the club last Tuesday. SP, that's more where I'm coming from. Hearing Mackie, sort of expecting an easy game. At least that's what he said to my brother. Okay. That's an interesting bit of insight. Teddy comes out for collar. Fair. Brennan says, looking back at the last year's draft, I think Geelong may have actually taken the best ruckman in the draft. Joe Pike looks better than Dodson, and we got him as a rookie. And let's not forget that wasn't even our go-to ruckman that we picked up. That's Jacob Mollier that we picked up as our number 1 ruckman in that draft. Good night, Roaming. It's been great to have you. I reckon the Eagles can win a couple more games in the upcoming weeks. They'll get off the bottom with the way they're playing. Don't know if they'll get off the bottom, but they might pinch a couple before the rest of the year. Why is getting into GMHBA Stadium harder than getting in the airport? Yep, ridiculous. It was a get out of jail card. Oh my God, you're all flooding the comments so quickly. It's getting out of jail card for the Cats in the last quarters. Yep. I just missed the 90s in general. Music, movies, Jurassic Park, Britney Spears, M2M, Pokemon movie. Good times. That doesn't sound like anything I've heard Mackie say before. It doesn't feel like Mac, but yeah, anyway. Rach pops in for the first time tonight. Makes me wonder if they were trialing some new set plays for a chunk of the game and then reverted back to the tried and true to get it done, but always expected the Eagles to come out hard. All right, there we go. We're caught up. Let's drop our last couple of topics here. The first one, or the next one, sorry. Ben asks, who wins the NBA Finals? Now, of course, for any of our NBA enthusiasts here, or for anyone who's not an NBA enthusiast, I should say, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going head-to-head with the Indiana Pacers. And on paper, you would say the Thunder every day of the week. But the Pacers just seem to have a magic about them. Like, there's just a spark. And I don't quite understand it. That said, I can't. My rational brain says I have to go to the Thunder. So, Thunder in 6. Thunder in game 6 will get it done. Ben asks, can Collingwood's mid-season draft Brian Strawn do the Brownlow Norm Smith double? I did see some social activity about Strawny today from the Pies. I don't quite understand that one, but anyway, that is what it is. Lucas says, and Ben, if you're in the chat, feel free to address this one. I don't have the means. Any chance Ben is going to fix his internet this week? Not a good plug for Shannon Pizza. He was wearing the Shannon Pizza beanie. What's he now? I've missed the whole thing. Look, I might make sure that I'm available next time, just so that if there's any issues, I can kind of jump in and pick up the reins from there. I was pretty happy to have the night off last night. Going into the night, I mean, this, I guess, to everyone's concerns about the Sunday night game, going into work and teach the next day, I was pretty okay with having a night off. And then I got up nice and early this morning and did the reaction video. But yeah, that's it's a bit of a shame, but I'm sure you'll get it fixed. He wasn't happy about it. I'm sure he's asking all the big questions this week. Sometimes your internet's just shit ass. It just happens sometimes. Shadu says, is that pronounced Tyrese or Tyrese? It's Tyrese. Tyrese Halliburton. Jackie also takes a moment to acknowledge an absolute legend of Australian cricket, Glenn Maxwell, who's stepping away from the one-day international mode effective immediately. Done some extraordinary things. Obviously, we've seen some wonderful efforts in the World Cup in recent times. Saved Australia's bacon against Afghanistan on a few occasions. Absolutely love him. Love you, Glenn Maxwell, and I can't wait to see you back in the Green Stars jersey, though, at the end of the year. And hopefully you can take us to a title there, because I'm getting sick of being the Collingwood of the BBL. Honestly, it's giving me the shits. Glenn Maxwell shootouts. Oh, Glenn Maxwell shootouts. I'm going to throw up now. Any draftees you think Geelong would be interested in this year? Fuck you, Ben. And happy 60th to the War Boys, Steve and Mark. That's awesome. How can we afford to rest Bailey? He's chasing a premiership. A Brownlow. We can't. But let's get back to the draftees question here. I mean, obviously people talk about Cam Mooney's sons at Jagger. I don't know if it was this year's draft that he was eligible for. Hunter is playing for Metro. Hunter who? Who are we talking about? Hunter who? Of course, there's some... I would love to see Cooper Duff Titler, for example. I've had a little bit to do with his family over the years. I was teaching his sisters and the likes. Hunter Biden, says Shadu. Luke says also, happy birthday to Steve Smith, and we need a mid-season trade. Clubs want it and expect the Nepo clubs up north. The Nepo clubs. I'm all for the idea of the mid-season trade period. There can maybe be some limitations on it a little bit, but also would be okay if it's just a bit of a free for all, and we get a Luka Doncic style scenario. Hunter Holmes, Max Holmes' brother, right? That's an interesting one. Geelong draft candidates 2025. There was a player that I heard of recently. Here we go. So we've got an NGA prospect, which is really interesting considering all our academies talk. We obviously just spoke about the Nepo Northern clubs, but quote unquote Nepo. Fuck you, Ross, you moron. We don't have this pop up very often, but Jesse Mellor in the Young Guns clash with Vic Country this weekend, Geelong NGA prospect Jesse Mellor was a standout. Mellor won the game for Vic Country, booting 4 goals in a dominant final quarter to top off a 6-goal display. Mellor, who's scrolled away for some reason, come back. Who's vice captain of the Geelong Falcons, has also been shining in the Coates Talent League. Most recently in round 3 against Murray Bushrangers, kicked 2 goals, 21 disposals, and laid 8 tackles. He's an NGA prospect. That one interests me. Jesse Mellor, as Amy says, yeah. That's awesome. Of course, it'd be nice to have Max Holmes' brother, but we don't have a brothers rule in the AFL, so we'll just have to cross our fingers and hope. But we don't seem to be doing a good job of getting the full family on board. Like the Selwoods or the DeConings or whatever. We get a few. We get the better one in both of those scenarios. I'm going to call it Sam better than Tom. Tom's just having a purple patch. But yeah, so I guess the cynical side of me says we'll miss out on Hunter Holmes, but it'd be a good pickup. It'd be good to get him. Jesse Mellor as a starting point, I think, is really awesome. I'm really keen on him based on what I'm reading. So fingers crossed that is the case. Funny, everyone says Academy, Sydney, GWS, Gold Coast, Brisbane have yet only one premiership last 10 years between them. I mean, it's a reasonable point, but they've all been there or thereabouts. It's not like, you're right, obviously it hasn't taken them all the way, but they've been there. Like 3 of those 4 teams have featured in multiple grand finals in the last 10 years. So it gets you a long way. Maybe it doesn't get you to the very top of the mountain. In the case of Brisbane, obviously it kind of helped to have a few father-sons dropped in on top. You had Jasper Fletcher and, of course, Will Ashcroft sprinkled atop academy picks, and very wise drafting in the meantime as well. And bottoming out, so you got your Cam Rayners and those sorts of players who've been coming in. They did a good job picking up delisted players or trading for players. Like they did. It was more than just the academies in the case of Brisbane. And some of the others have, had hits and misses along the way as well. But let's get the brothers collection going. I'm starting to get a bit of fog from my mouth. It's getting that cold in here. Bianca is pushing for this year. She's constantly putting her hand up for VFL selection every week. selection every week. 47 matches with 7 BOGs for Hunter. It's not a bad strike rate. All right, it's time to get to our game of the show tonight. So let's kick it across in a moment to a game called The Drifter. It is developed. Ben has the Nepo internet. Don't know if you quite know what a Nepo is, Lucas. Actually, no, sorry. Our last thing for Q&A. I saw this on socials, and then Shadu, you're here in the chat. You popped it in the Discord, and I couldn't miss taking a swing here at, you piece of shit platform. Just give me the image I'm looking for. There we go. Ollie Dempsey with the Crocs. This is unacceptable behavior. In any part of society, it's not okay. Shadu, oh God, yeah. This is awful. White Crocs. It's awful. Crocs of any sort. Ryan as well, apparently. Bin it. Bin them. If you have Crocs, if you're watching this now and you have Crocs, throw that shit in the bin. Ollie Dempsey, you should be ashamed of yourself. And if you're not careful, if there's nothing else that pops up this week, you're going to get nuffed, mate. That is absolute trash. But also, Lucas is right. Best winger in the game. It's not even close. It's acceptable for Griney's from Grovedale. I guess I don't know the inner workings of the Geelong suburbs well enough, but I have thongs, but what's wrong with Crocs? Everything is wrong with Crocs. You look like a clown. You also don't demand any respect, and nor do you deserve respect. So, Ollie, fix it. This is your chance. You've had one chance to fix this egregious behavior. All right. Let's get to game of the week here. Like I said, why are we wearing shoes with holes to an airport? Exactly. They're called speed holes. This game is called The Drifter. Now, for anyone who appreciates a point and click, like classic point and click, I'm talking about Tales of Monkey Island and all of those sorts of classics from back in the day, then this is going to be for you in a lot of respects. It's developed here in Australia. It's doing some really cool things. It just got dated for July, and I want to show it off to all of you tonight. So let's get to The Drifter. Let me screen share, bring it up. Boom.
So how long have you been staying out here, Mr.
Carter? And I'm not staying out here. Jesus, will you put that thing away? Wait!
You gotta break out of that head of yours, Mick. Talk to Sarah.
What you did wasn't enough. You have to violate his grave?
Since I got back, I've been shot at, half drowned, frozen. I died. I came back in time.
I mean, you know how it sounds. The stress and everything. It's probably just...
In my head, I know.
Jesus, this is you. You killed that man. Psychosis is always a risk in treatments.
Say the patient attacked. Got the DI's gun.
The caretaker eyes me with a look of disgust.
I told you to leave.
But I'm here for a bloody funeral.
Are you deaf? I said get lost.
If there's one thing I hate, it's pompous, self-righteous, hypocritical... Okay, that felt good.
Drop it now. Talk later.
So you can dump me in the reservoir again? I hold the flame under the rag until it lights.
Not gonna do you no good, boss.
You bastards!
Did you know that per volume, the insect brain has 10 times the quantum matter of mammalia?
This thing could really take me back further. How far, I wonder? You're not even human anymore!
I'm better than human.
Eddie!
I am a god.
I jumped the car back in Breaker's Cut. Told myself I'd never come back. Oh well. Here I am.
So that is The Drifter. Please consider checking it out when it launches on July 17th. Some really, really cool stuff. And I hope that, well, I just want to see a little bit of love for Aussie titles. The games industry is in a pretty shitty spot right now, like a lot of industries are, I might add, with, you know, cost of living and the cost of game development going through the roof at the moment. So when a cool indie title pops up, especially when it's made here in Australia, please get around it. I will also say now, we will have our Thursday night episode of the Paul James Show, and there's lots that we'll cover there, and of course we'll have a game of the week there. But later this week, actually, so I guess I can even talk a bit about the Switch 2 then. Stay tuned. Player2.net.au. Tomorrow night at midnight. Stay tuned. Then the Switch 2 comes out on Thursday. There's lots to discuss there. I'll probably, I don't know, fuss about it a little bit on camera with you. But then later in the week, we've got this big showcase, Summer Games Fest. There's dozens of games that get shown off, big and small. There's going to be an Xbox showcase on the King's Birthday Monday, which of course will have the Paul James Show that night. So we'll go through I have no doubt that I'm going to be showing a disproportionately large number of game trailers in that one compared to normal. Lucas says this is a serious question, but it was also one of the least serious things that ever was actually announced. That thing fizzled out as it deserved to, that Xbox console. What a stupid idea that was. Live stream launch event, possibly. We'll see. But we can just kind of weave it. Maybe we can just tail onto the back end of the Paul James show and do some gameplay. I'll set up a second stream because we did actually receive a comment the other day that was a bit concerned about the length of the Paul James show the other night, going up to 2 hours. Perfectly reasonable comment. I apologize. Though it's probably not the worst thing in the world for whoever it was. I've forgotten who it was that kind of flagged that concern with the length of the show that night. But yeah, we don't normally do a live watch along at the end of it. So Forza Horizon 5, hopefully at the Xbox Showcase. Do we need to do... No, it's like 7 a.m. I can't do it. I'll have the kids. The Summer Games Fest Showcase is like 3 a.m. Anyone up for a 3 a.m. stream on Saturday morning? Hoops second channel for long shows. No. I know Ben and I have discussed this behind the scenes, but no, I'm not big on that idea. I think a second channel for things that aren't football related. What we might do, Lucas, if you're keen, hang on, let me check my times. I need to make sure I've got all my facts straight. Where are my showcase times? I'm going to screen share for a second to my friends Shannon Grixty at Press Start here for a moment. Let me get my screens right. These are all the dates for the big showcases. The first one here, and I guess it's good that we've got a nice Australia-wide audience listening tonight because Shannon's done a good job of kind of putting all the different time zones in here. Oh, the Summer Games Fest one was the one at 7 a.m. So the Xbox one was the early a.m. 7 a.m. for Summer Games Fest. I won't be able to do anything live with people for that because I'll have the kids to contend with. But that's obviously the most diverse one. That's going to have stuff for PlayStation, for Xbox, for Nintendo, for PC, for everything. The Xbox Showcase, Lucas, and anyone else who might be keen, for me, little Victorian here time zone, 3 a.m. for that one. I'll be up for it. What if we all just jumped, like for those who wanted to, what if we just jumped in a Discord call and just chatted about it while we're watching? If there's anyone keen on that, Lucas, you're seem like you're one of them. If there's anyone else who's keen to just jump in the Discord and chat about it, I'll get an audio call going at 3 a.m. at night if need be. So let me know if that sounds good to you and we might just make it happen. I say that and I'm seeing Shadu pinging stuff in the Discord right now. So what is going on here? I need to check the Discord. Oh my God, I'm seeing the Discord and I'm just seeing like the at with Brian Myers and his Crocs as well. Brian, you're my son's favorite player. Stop disgracing yourself. Jackie, while you're at it, can we get some, and I'm seeing a whole lot of you in there right now having a good time with it. Can I get you all to reply to that same post and ask why aren't you all... Oh, yes, Lucas is keen on the idea. That's awesome. Anyone else for 3 a.m.? Like, we'll make it a thing, or your equivalent time zone. Everyone needs to respond and talk about getting Geelong players and personalities on the Hoops crew. Ask those questions. Oh, if it's for the podcast. Lingy and Meg aren't going to help us with that. There's the Discord link too, by the way. We've had to generate a new one. I want to double check with Ben that we've got it pinned like in all the standard descriptions for the shows, that we've got the correct link in there now. But we'll try and make sure that's all up to speed because we've had to kind of reset that one recently. Kiri and Lucas, pre-game space, anyone? We should look to get those sorts of things up and running too in the future. We've got some more activity here in the Discord. Welcome, Elb2709. Oh, we've had 2 new subs in the last few seconds. Good to see. Or 2 new audience members, I should say. So yeah, that's the Summer Games Fest stuff anyway. Lucas is keen. If others are keen, great. If not, no big deal. We'll just Lucas and myself can chat all about Xbox. We've got the pre-game chat audio channel. We've got the community hangout channel. We've got all sorts of options that we can utilize. So, I just joined the community hangout channel. Pants are optional, mate. No, I don't need to overshare how I sleep. But I'm betting though, those red shorts of Lucas, they disappear when he sleeps. I reckon he's Winnie the Poohing it. Confirm or deny, Lucas, that when you go to sleep at night, that you're not Winnie the Poohing it. No, I can see Humphrey B for band, but I can picture our mate Lucas. I'm working on something here, mate. Where is he? Stop giving me WebP images. God. The internet's failing. How hard is it to just get a Winnie the Pooh that's not in a WebP format? I have to because Lucas says this will be good. No, I'm not going to get time to put a thing on you, put your head on Winnie the Pooh because the Kingdom Hearts wiki's giving me shit as well. Like none of it. Feel let down. We'll just screen share the whole section. Thanks, Wikipedia. Winnie the Pooh. Picture him with Lucas's head on it. He says time I run the show. Yeah, but I've got shit to do. I've got lessons I've got to write for class tomorrow. I've got game reviews to write. I still need to write my AFL 26 review so I can get it out for you guys. So boom, Winnie the Pooh. There we go. Oh, mate. Lucas's head. Winnie the Poohing every time he goes to sleep. No pants. Lindy is a kind soul. She is a kind soul from all reports. Can you listen to Caro for 3 minutes again? That was awesome. I don't like listening to Caro. That's a short crop top if I ever saw it. Hayden says, I just got here. What's going on? We've you can all say your own things about my Ninja Turtles pajamas, but I've determined tonight that Coach Lucas goes to bed like Winnie the Pooh. Top on, free ball and down below. That's where we're at this point in the show. You've missed an hour and 20 of this magic so far. It's good to have you though, Aiden. Under boob. Shit. All right. On that note, Aiden, sorry that you've just arrived, but we're about to bring it all home. So we'll wrap things up there for the night. Mum made an appearance in the Twitter space and gave me an education. Just to ask Ben, he was there. Ben, do tell us more while the show comes to a close. Thank you to everyone for your support of the Hoops crew tonight. It's been awesome to have you all on board. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, drop a like on this video, share the videos with your friends and family. The more people we have checking into the show, the more growth we get, the more engagement we get, the more we can create for you. We want to make this a snowball gathering momentum, just like the cat season, hopefully. A snowball that is continuing to gain momentum, and we can give more and more to all of you. We love all of you, and we hope that we can keep creating stuff that you really value. Share your thoughts. Many of you have been doing so in the live chat tonight. But if you're watching this after the fact, please consider dropping your thoughts in the comment section. Anything you want to discuss away. You can be heard using the super chat function. Bit late for that. I probably could have shouted out a little bit earlier on, but thank you to all of those people who've been donating using the super chat function lately. It's been hugely appreciated. We love what you're doing to help us grow. And I think someone donated money for me to go buy a pizza the other night. So I can't wait till Ben passes that money on to me. Follow me on socials at Paul James Games. That is on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew is at The Hoops Crew. Thank you very much again to our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. Drop those flower emojis in the chat there. Amazing supporters of the Hoops Crew and doing some incredible stuff with us. And hopefully that continues long into the future. And like I said before, patreon.com/The Hoops Crew is where you can get all of our extended content, early access content, and exclusives. There's the scratching post video about Ollie Henry that I've posted just earlier tonight. You can get all my full thoughts on where Ollie Henry is at and why I've been defending him so staunchly up until this point. I am starting to cool a little bit, but that's there for people to check out as well. There's extended versions of the Chat Cats. We spoke about the twos before, and there's some really awesome stuff going on there. So please consider checking that out. If you want more episodes of the Scratching Post this week, I've got the thread up there for people to post on. Drop your thoughts. Jackie's already done so, and that is what's prompted the Ollie Henry video. If you've got things you want me discussing in that format, go drop a comment on that post, and then I'll whip up a video about it for you. All right. Thank you all for this ongoing support of the Hoops Crew. The comments are piling in now. Where are we? It's a bit creepy to dream of Lucas in this way. I wasn't dreaming. Shout out to Vincent. To Vince, sorry. Hope she's okay after last night's show. Oh, geez, I need to go watch the show. Bailey Smith will be winning the Brownlow. Norm Smith, and of course the Premiership medal. Let's hope so. I will take it, Jackie. Brownlow. Damn, I just got here. Sorry, Jezelenko. Dial into the rest of the show. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Ben says, question, is it acceptable to eat a bucket of KFC in bed? There is never a bad time. Thank you, Aiden, for dropping a follow on my Instagram account. It's just popped up in front of me. There's never a bad time for a bucket of KFC. In fact, that sounds like a challenge, says Shadu. You got to wear the bucket after, though. LA Ice Console, now $3 sugar tax. Hi and goodbye, Jezelenko. Sorry. It's a sign to drink more water. Posture and hydration check. Thank you, everyone, for having dialed in tonight, sharing those comments, those thoughts, that constant support of all things Hoops Crew. We love having you here. No better way to eat a bucket of KFC. And until next time, remain Geelong strong, everyone. I'll see you later.